Hey, this is Stacia, and I'm going to share my round one game that I played at the 2021 Ohio Congress. I played it this past weekend in Akron, Ohio, and well, I played up a section. So even though I went into this tournament, actually, my published rating was like 1721, but my live rating was 1660 because of those Parma losses I had last week. So, I think I put 1701. I guess technically, 1660. So I'm playing people that are, pretty high rated for me. And in game one, I played Trey Rutherford with the black pieces. So let's take a look at this one. He played d4. And I had no clue, what kind of opening we would get here. I played d5 and c4 was played. Queen's Gambit accepted, I took, and e4. And, I just have to shake my head when this happens. My opening repertoire is so new for me that I don't have options, and one of my goals is to become a more well-rounded player in the opening. But as of now, my go-to move is b5, and I totally intend to exchange this rook, like sack the exchange on a8, and we do go into this a4, attacking the pawn. I defended it. He takes, all looks well until you notice that knight c3 is threatening to take the pawn. And there is no a6 because the knight would simply take anyway. If we take back, the pawn is pinned, but no worries. We're just going to do this anyway because this is my repertoire. Bishop to b7. And so Pico Gurnashvili claims that, this is a good position for black, that we're at least equal here. And I do like chaotic positions, so hey. I guess I got what I wanted. Rook a1, and now I was pretty sure e6 was the correct move. I did play it. And the idea is to open up this bishop as quickly as possible. For example, if b3 now, I think we win the game because of bishop check, and the natural bishop d2 doesn't work. We can simply push here. And if the bishop moves out of the way, I'm not sure where that bishop would go. Maybe here I would have to play, do I need to block it or something? f6? Yeah, but anyway, that's check, and that's no good, and the queen can't block. We're going to take it. So, okay, you get the point. It's important to open that diagonal. So e6. Okay, he played e5, and here I was already out of book. Now, I do believe that I've seen this move in blitz games, but nowhere else. And I'm pretty sure those blitz games went poorly for me. So it was pretty clear to me that even though this is not one of the moves that Suppico gives, in order to punish this move, I'll need to find the right way to proceed. And it turns out that it's not so easy. I have to be pretty precise here to keep full compensation for the exchange. And I ended up playing the move knight c6. And as you can see, the computer doesn't like it so much. The computer thinks that, just bishop e2, move the knight, castle, white's fine. White will be okay. And black won't have full compensation. White will be better. So actually I don't want to show the move that I'm going to play next time. But I guess I will anyway. Knight h6 is a good move. I will play this next time. If they take the knight, white is kind of wasting more time. I can now play rook g8. This pawn is going to be a problem. I can play here and notice the pressure here. And I should have enough play plus the two bishops. So I think taking the knight is not correct. And, you know, let's say white just does normal stuff. I guess I'll turn on the engine just to make sure I know what I'm talking about. Oh, well, they can't play that move because we will take here. So already they probably have to go knight f3. And then we'll jump into the f5 square where we pressure this pawn. There is no g4 really because that would drop. Well, it would pin the knight, which is uncomfortable. Doesn't drop the knight yet, but in some lines it does. Okay, but this is how I'm supposed to play. And then I can check, knight c6, castles, and I will have full compensation. And we play for pressure here, control here, etc. Anyway, more detail than you guys probably want. e6, e5, and I went with knight c6. He played knight f3, and I played bishop to b4 check. Now, in truth, the way I played isn't so horrible. Like, white is plus 0.6 right now. That seems like a normal opening advantage. And what I calculated was that I wanted to play knight e7, but if I play knight e7 and he goes b3, I was worried about this because I don't have that bishop b4 check resource I wanted. So now it turns out that you can play knight f5, and if they take here, knight c takes d4. I guess we're somehow, I mean, this position just looks crazy to me. Like, I don't understand who's better or for what reasons. I have no clue. I do understand that black's a little bit better developed. I do understand that we just snagged the center pawn. But I mean, aside from that, it's hard for me to know what is going on here. Like bishop e2, white's still better. Bishop e4 check. And here, bishop takes. And I guess here we take. So we get this still. Always important, like if you don't have a pawn majority on the queen side or a passed pawn like this, you do not have full compensation for the exchange. In these lines, that's one thing I've learned. Okay, but anyway, I played there. Okay, and the idea was that my knight is protecting the bishop, so no worries there. And now with the knight here, if b3, you know, I think I have that c3 move I wanted, and I'm ready to castle. So, okay, and the computer agrees this position's okay. Bishop to e2 was played. You know, if white just wants to get their king safe. Yeah, and I think knight d5, I hate to say this, but knight d5, even though it looks like a bit of an inaccuracy, is actually the losing move for me. I hate to say it, but that is the losing move for me, knight to d5. I have got to put this knight on f5, and there are a lot of reasons why. So let's understand this move, okay? I did analyze this in some depth. The problem with knight d5, okay, is that it blocks the bishop, it blocks the queen, therefore blocking pressure on this d4 square. It's a little bit superfluous as well, like if bishop takes bishop, one of these knights is going to take, and the knights are a bit superfluous. If the knight was on f5, for example, let's say I went here, takes, takes. Now this knight can reroute into d5, and I have two good knights. Yeah. The other thing is white cannot kick my knight so easily. There can be pins and tricks along this diagonal. This bishop is very powerful on b7, by the way. So, yeah, and probably strong players are groaning when they see this move, and you should. And I should feel bad, as Ben Feingold says, because, you know, I thought during the game, I think my thought process was a little bit lazy. I was like, hey, I'm going to plop my knight in the center. How bad could that be? Well, I have got to stop using that line of how bad it can be, because every time I do, there's more complicated reasons as to why it is kind of bad. And this is seriously the move that gives white the advantage. I have to play knight f5 here. This move creates more pressure here, allows for this square to be occupied by a knight or a bishop or a queen. We want to use this d5 square for our other pieces. And, you know, other than that, I am wondering about this move in some lines, if this knight should move away. The knight is well placed on f5 is my point. Okay, so after this, white has a +1 advantage. It's not the end of the world, but I don't really make any horrible mistakes until, well, I do at one point. So let's go through the game. But I didn't like the lines that follow because, well, white castled comfortably. I have no pressure here. And like I was saying, it's very awkward to play this position. Okay, so they take. I took with the D knight, which is correct. Unleashing the stuff that I was talking about. Queen D2. I mean, white is playing simple here. White's like, hey, I'm going to develop my bishop. I'm going to develop my knight. I'm going to castle. I'm going to move my queen. I'm going to put a rook here. Like, white has a very simple plan, and if I let it work, like in most gambits, then I'll be much worse. So I need pressure. It wasn't easy to find anything, though. So queen b6, computer likes it. Rook here. I'm trying to pressure this pawn. That's kind of my main source of play at this point. So rook to d8, but here, h4. Yeah, at this point of the game, I was not sure how to proceed. I mean, this is just sufficiently defended at this point, right? I mean, this looks good. And if I can't attack that again, which I can't, if I could take my knight, oops, hang on a second. If I could take this knight and put it on f5, well, then both my knights are attacking this. And maybe I can actually win it. But with the knights superfluous like this, I can't attack it again. So I knew I was probably getting in trouble here. Okay, h4. I jump the knight back in this way. What was my idea with this move? My idea with this move, which computer doesn't like so much. Wow, it says I should just go h6 and just prevent this pawn from getting too far. But I went here. Okay, there, now h6. Okay, that's fine. g4. Yeah, and I was a little bit nervous too because, okay, I'm down the exchange. But now, you know, white is developing threats over here. I don't know if they're real threats or not, but, you know, I have to watch knight g5. I have to watch knight h4. I have to watch, you know, things like king h2, rook over, etc. So I went here to sort of defend stuff. I thought if g5, I will plop the knight in f5. But my opponent did surprise me here. Turns out knight h4 is the best move. Yeah, I thought if g5, knight f5. And I think this should be okay. Now I'm protecting this. And the computer agrees that this is better. And I thought if here, well, I'd probably just take it, right? Like maybe I can win this. Seems like maybe I can. Maybe knight here or something next. Okay. But in the game, he surprised me with this queen a5 move. I didn't realize how strong the move was until it happened, which is unfortunate because I was like, hey, why can't I just move my queen? Oh, I cannot because my rook's hanging. So I kind of have to take this queen trade. Another move I could try is like knight c6 and let him take and I'll recapture, but I'm not sure what I'm doing there. I think I should just take, and that was correct. Okay, now he is ready to double on the A file. Definitely worried about that. Now I would tell you that the computer says, you know, white is plus 0.8. So, you know, I'm down the exchange, but my bishop is amazing. My knight's in the center of the board. This is still a backwards pawn. Okay, I didn't win it yet, but it's still weak. And I have this pawn majority still. So, you know, these pawns are important and compensate for the exchange a great deal. Okay, so knight to f4. I check the bishop. King f1. Definitely thought about taking the bishop here. I mean, if you look at this line's pretty forcing. And then I was looking for something good here, but I just didn't see anything. Probably the best I have is b4 or knight d5, but I don't think... I'm wondering about this too, but maybe just rook a1, I thought. Because I wanted to take here with check due to the pin, but they can just defend it. So, I decided not to do that. I think my knight is an excellent piece, you know, on this f4 square. So I played here defending my pawn. So I see now the computer has a different defense. c3. What? Huh. So that pawn is getting pretty far. They can't really ignore it because I'll take here or push here, checking the rook. Are those good moves though? Or I go here. Let's say they take here just for fun. That does attack my bishop. I go bishop a6. Oh, wait a minute. That's a skewer. They can't take b5. It's poison. Wow. I did not see that during the game. So you have to play c3 for the skewer to work, or for the pin to work. Knight e1 was played. Played knight d5. And bishop to f3. Yeah, so this was White's idea, which I kind of missed. I don't think it's the best idea ever, but his idea was to, hey, I need to get my knight out of here so I can challenge this very strong bishop. I think that was what was going on there. And then if, you know, if I recapture with a knight, then maybe my pawn is hanging. So I came in here and, well, yeah, White has a significant advantage now. The computer says over +2. It was very hard for me to figure out what to play in this position. I could go rook b8, you know, just protect this pawn. But I thought if I do that, you know, maybe he could just double on the a file, you know, and I don't know what I'm doing. So I decided instead to actually why is it not playing my move? Hang on a second. Oh, I did play rook b8. I did play rook b8. Oh, the move I was thinking of comes next. So this actually did happen. He doubled. And then I played knight here, which the computer thinks is a blunder. So, yeah, I think I need to calculate this better because after knight here, bishop takes, knight takes. I'm on the rook and I'm on the pawn, which was sort of my point. But in that position, I think White can just move their rook to a8. Then they're threatening to take and misplace my knight. Well, followed by rook a8. my knight would be pinned to my king. So I have to, after rook a8, I'm going to have to go king h7 so that there's no pin. So maybe I should take the rook instead. Yeah, and none of that feels right. So I think I agree that this move is just terrible. It's not a good move. This is not going to work out because of rook a8. Yeah, the only good move for white. And here I did decide to take. And well, I mean, this is how it goes when you play strong players, I think. You know, like you can't blunder a piece against low-rated players, but you can't like mess up strategically against these better players. And that is what I did, starting with knight d5, but ending with that knight b4 move. Letting him trade off my bishop and play rook a8. So I fought on, of course. I'm not going to resign because that's against my rules. And I made this cute little construction with active knights protecting each other, but also guarding my pawn. So as long as I have this pawn, I felt like, you know, I have chances to draw maybe, or at least cause problems. I had to play g6 here because he's going to go rook b7. And when he goes rook b7, he would attack this pawn. And then if I played check, I would have, or if I went back, he could play check. And I would have to go back. And my king's not doing very well on h7. So I wanted to play g6 in order to go king g7. And if he takes, I thought I would take with the king. Now my king's much better. Might even be able to move my king forward at some point. So, okay. He played there. I went king g7. Wow, it doesn't like it. That is surprising. What on earth should I do then? I have to defend that pawn. Computer likes king g8 better. Wow, kind of surprised. And if check, white just wasted a tempo because now we get this here. Okay, interesting. But anyway, his idea was to go here and pressure my pawn. So he's stopping me from pushing my pawn. Okay, so I jump my knight here. My idea was knight d5, attacking the rook, protecting this so I can push my pawn. Rook b7, attacking my knight. Yeah, and here I saw that I had the move c3, defending my knight. That was part of that calculation earlier. He comes back to attack. Now I have that knight d5 move. So, okay, I mean, I feel like I'm still alive somehow. King f8 doesn't like. I don't like it either. Why did I play that move? What's going on here? I don't think I knew what to do here. But I'm definitely losing already. Well, now he can take on g6. So yeah, it's not like that move either. I think I was in time pressure at this point. And we'll just kind of show the last few moves. Yeah, I had to reconstruct this part of the game, which means I had under a minute. My opponent had more than 10 minutes. I really just wanted to get a trick in where I could fork the king. That's the only chance I had at this point. So, did I really play this move? I don't even know because I reconstructed this part of the game. I might have, because I was thinking I would play here, and if he takes, I would play check. But that knight is still there at the moment. So I don't think this is the precise moment that I did this. But of course he didn't fall for that trick in the game. He had too much time on his clock to fall for something like that. And he's too strong too. But hey, at least I died trying, right? So this game is pretty rough. But you know, I think the interesting thing is that it's hard to find the moves I played that lose the game. Like I was thinking, why did I lose this game? And the answer is that I didn't get full compensation for the exchange, and eventually I was losing by material. And it turns out I shouldn't play knight c6. I should go knight h6 and plop the knight on f5. And now that I know that, which I feel like I should have known during the game but didn't, yeah, that's why this move is a mistake. So I blame not knowing the opening well enough. I also blame lack of strategic knowledge. I should know that I can't just plop my knight in the center without thinking about it. I should have seen that knight f5 is less, in the way of my other pieces. I need that d5 square. I need my queen open and my bishop open. So don't block my own pieces. And then lastly, don't trade your most powerful piece. So when I played knight b4, which will come, let's see. Yeah, this move. This is the move that loses worse. Okay, I was +2 or white is +2 at this point. But this move loses worse. Don't trade off my powerful bishop. Don't trade off pieces at all when you're down in material. Here, I should improve my position the best I can. Computer gives g5 or g6. Probably with that same idea I mentioned earlier. Why allow this check or force my king to h7 when I can make a home on g7? So I should just be playing the position here. So yeah, I guess that's what it's like when you play strong players and you're not ready. You get outplayed like in this game. So unfortunately, this was a bad start to my tournament. But I'll be back with the next game. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back with more chess. Okay, bye.